What's going on, guys? Write your question. Write your question. Write your question. Why are you writing a question and then retracting it? Write questions. Write questions. Emmanuel, good to see you. Ahmad, good to see you. TCK, in a few days, any advice? Well, you should be on the NBMEs at the end, right? The NBMEs, 60-15. So, Ralph, Champion, Andres, took step 1 2 days ago. You were amazed at how sure you felt answering. Thanks to your excellent PDFs and audio, QBank. Can't thank you enough. Greetings from Honduras. A lot of you guys from Honduras, hey. A lot of you guys from Honduras. Lately, a lot of people. Tom Hanks. How long should I take before? Is that because you actually you like the actor Tom Hanks, or you actually named Tom Hanks also, and then you go through life and you're like, yeah, I have the same name as an actor? How long should I take before retaking step 1, August 2025, is when you failed and you were literally hugging the pass bar? Yeah, it's annoying. So what you're going to do, Tom Hanks, is spend an entire month going through Mehlman step 1 QBank, and then you're going to redo all the NBMEs. So don't touch another NBME right now. Do Mehlman step 1 QBank, finish it, and then you're going to go 20 through 32. I don't care if you already sat all the NBMEs. I'm sure you didn't do 32, actually. You probably didn't do that. So do 20 through 31 and free 120, and then you're going to do 32. And the fact that you're going to redo all those NBMEs, you're going to do Mehlman QBank, you'll be fine. So we don't want you hugging the pass bar at, let's say, a 64, 65. We need you at like minimum 68 plus. Dr. Mo. Guys, give the live stream a like, por favor. Dr. Mo, I did 7 NBMEs in this order. NBME 26. So you got 60%, 68%, 79, 73, 77, 81. UOld self-assessment 2, 64. NBME 86, so all your scores. Well, your scores are pretty high because you need 65 to pass step 1, and then at least 3 NBMEs, 68 plus. That's what we look for. So as a buffer for you to have safety to actually sit the real thing. Munib Khan, I scored in the high 80s on all of my step 1 NBMEs. Could I get a high score on 2CK with a strong step 1 base? Obviously, you know the answer is yes to that. I guess you're looking for more detail. So just prepare well for step 2. Do Mehlman step 2 QBank. Then you're going to do all the CMS forms. Then you'll do NBME 6 through 8 offline, double pass of all the CMS forms, free 120, 9 through 15, and you'll get a high 2CK score. Hannah Javed, I have step in 2 weeks and I have 63% NBME 30. Please help. I would postpone, but if you say, no, I don't want to postpone, well, the situation would be you'd have to take I don't know what NBMEs you've already done, because a lot of people may have done 30, but they haven't done 20 through 24 or 20 through 25 offline. I'd want you to be doing all NBMEs 20 through 32 and including free 120. And if you don't want to postpone, you have to demonstrate efficacy on at least 3 NBMEs above 68, but I still don't like the 63. Okay, so even if you get 3 NBMEs right now that are all 68, 69, which is great because 65 is passed, that 63 is still precarious and it's a possibility. Like the lower boundary of your NBMEs is a possibility. It means it's possible you could fail if you go in. So what I would do if you are able to postpone, if that is a situation, then I would do Mehlman QBank for a whole month. Similar to, who was it, Tom Hanks above? I would do Mehlman QBank for a whole month, come back, do all the NBMEs, and you'll be fine. So in 6 weeks, I would sit, rather 5 to 6 weeks rather than in 2 weeks. Renu, what's going on? Guys, give the live stream a like. Med, no. I really want to know, what should I be doing now? I did NBME 6 through 8, barely touched 240, did all the CMS forms. Did you do Mehlman step 2 QBank? Probably not. Let me see. So you want to do Mehlman step 2 QBank? Rayma, you've got step 1 in 1 month. Any advice? The terminal 3 weeks needs to be all NBMEs. So I'm assuming you're at QBank right now. That's my guess, Rayma. So you need to finish QBank until about 3 weeks out, and then you need to do NBMEs 20 through 25 offline, free 120, and then 26 through 32. That's what you have to do. Utsav, Thakar, I've seen your high-yield internal medicine covers almost all PDFs. Is it okay to read that one PDF for all subjects and skip others for TCK? Yes and no. I would still look over Repro Obs Gain. I would still look over that. And there's tables in there that I write 2CK3 only or step 1 only. So you'll be able to, like, you know, bypass certain things, but I would look over that as well. And the individual subject PDFs are more updated than the 2CK combined PDFs. They're like the same thing, but there's like, I had gone through and done an extra layer of granularity on all the subject PDFs. The 2CK PDFs are fine, but there's like certain typos I corrected. There's like certain sentences added, removed. And that's because when I was making the Anki cards, I used the subject PDFs and I would make changes during that point. And so I didn't bother going through to update all the 2CK ones. I mean, there's certain things that are like not a great use of my time, but it's like annoying because I obviously, it would be, what am I gonna do? Spend like 4 days kind of updating all that stuff. It's annoying, but like you can use the internal medicine PDF. All the 2CK PDFs are great. Just, you can also look at the subject PDFs. Deepak, what's going on? Ahmad Badr. A couple of my friends had their step 1 recently. I had tons of SOAP patient report questions, how to approach them effectively. By just knowing your stuff, by just knowing like medical knowledge. That stuff's only a problem if you like are weak. Like, it's not that you don't miss the forest for the trees here. It's like, you don't have to be practicing with these SOAP questions. Like, oh my God, like patient note questions. It's like, if you know, if your foundation is like minimally acceptable, if you have a good knowledge base and you were to like go on a ward round and look at a patient's chart, like that's not going to be a problem for you. So just learn your medical information, just study like normally. And then those SOAP questions aren't going to be a big deal. I don't think you need to like remediate and practice all these SOAP questions and stuff. We have like a few in our QBank. There's like some of our authors made some SOAP questions. I didn't like them at first. I didn't like the format. I'm like, fuck this. I'm like, just scrap that. But we did end up putting some SOAP in there, like a few. Rayma, you have your step 1 a month. I think I just am like dyslexic and just already read it. Raya, Abdullah, what's going on? Where was I? RTC. I missed hearing you retract that message when you stopped doing these lives. You weren't here, but literally the first person who joined the chat retracted a message. That's how this live stream started. Let's see. It was Dia Patel. If you're still in here. She started off the live stream by retracting her message before I even read it. Let me see. I don't know what there is to be like embarrassed about. Like people who, how's this? People who delete messages in our Telegram group. Like if someone asks a question in the Telegram group and then someone else is like responding to it and then they delete their question and then you just have someone else who like responded and there's no question remaining anymore and the group's like confused. I go into the admin panel and sometimes I just ban the person who retracted their question because you annoy everyone else in the group. That's a way to get banned is like deleting your message in the Telegram group. Sharia Batia. Step 1 in 12 days. Did NBME 30 today, 71%. That's good. And maybe 29, 65%. I'd want to know when you took 29. What's the best thing to do in these last 12 days except NBME's 31, 32, free 120? Just the NBME exams right now. You can look over high-yield arrows as well. Ralph Raheb. Do you remember Joy Raheb, one of the OGs on your live streams? He aced two. No, I don't remember that person. No, sorry. I don't know if that's like a joke. I don't know if that's like you're trying to like advertise somebody, like a fake kind of like advertisement. But I get that sometimes. Like there'll be someone who messaged me. They're like, "It's me from like 2 years ago. It's me. Like I talked to you." I'm like, I have no idea who you are. And then I just pretend I know the. I'm just like, yeah, like yeah. Champion. How come number of people attending live streams is decreasing day by day? LOL. Because people get their questions answered. But when it reaches a certain number, I'll stop doing the live streams. RTC, what split do you use for the gym? I literally do like full body every day. Like I do upper body every day and I do like, I bike a lot. I bike every day. So I do legs every day as well. Iotunde, what should you do if you're done with QBank, but it's too early to start taking NBMEs? CBSC October 11th. If your CBSC is October 11th and you finish QBank, you could blast through Mehlman QBank at this point. Just spend the rest of this month doing Mehlman QBank. That's what I would do. Or move up your CBSC. If you can't move up the CBSC, then blast through Mehlman QBank this month and do NBMEs 20 through 25 offline for your CBSC. Take CBSC, pass, do free 120, then do 26 through 32. That's what I would do. Pop Teens. This is my first time buying the Anki deck from you, 2CK. Would you recommend that I go through all of them, including step 1, or just go through the cards that mention only step 2, 3? If I don't mention 2CK3 in a card, it means it's for all the steps. If something is like very like molecular or something, you can avoid it. You can just skip it for 2CK, but just do most of the cards. Like you don't have to do the biochemistry cards. The farm, you don't have to do. You can practice some of those decks if you want. Where can you get NBME 32? On their website. Marwan, I think there are so many garbage details in UWorld. Do you agree with me? Yes. That wasn't like, I mean, some people are like angry with me that they're like, now that you have a QBank, you're bashing UWorld. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I bashed UWorld like long ago. It was that we didn't have any alternatives. That's the thing. That's what always like annoyed me. It irritated me. It was the fact that like I would make videos like, it's like, well, how do you prepare for US Assembly in 2024? And it's like, well, choose UWorld or Amboss because that's what we have, but there's no alternative. But now we have an alternative, Mehlman QBank, that's way better. And people are like angry. They're like, now you're bashed. It's like, no, it's better. And so yes, we happen to have made it. It's our product, yes, but like it's better. So people don't get angry with me pushing the PDFs that are better than first aid because the PDFs are free. It's only when, they're poor and that the product is out of their reach that they become resentful and bitter and angry and acrimonious. Don't have resentment just because you don't have the resources. Dr. NK, indication of ivabradine and heart failure, not used for USMLE. That's like nitpicky stuff. And I'd also want to know like how you're scoring, because if somebody asks a question like that and they're not scoring high, I get irritated because it's the perfect example of like, do you know how DKA works? Like, do you know all the hormones? No. But then you're asking about like some weird drug for heart failure. If you're scoring high, if you're getting like 85 plus on the NBMEs, you're allowed to ask a question like that. Callie Carlo, good to see you again. You bought Mehlman QBank. You're that guy that did UWorld 3 times, scored 53%, NBME 25 last week, 60%. How should I go through your QBank? Tutor mode or test mode? I've said a million times, untimed tutor random, 4 to 8 blocks of 10 per day. I've said that always. Kali Carlo. Judah, Daniel. How many coups should I do ideally if writing step 2 in 10 months? Well, you're going to do QBank. I just lost where you were in the chat. Let me just scroll back up. Okay. Well, you're going to do Mehlman QBank, and then you're going to do the CMS forms. Then you're going to do 6 through 8 offline. Double pass of all the CMS forms. Free 120, 9 through 15, all those questions. And then if your NBMEs are good, just move up your test. Tom Hanks. I was planning to do AMBOSS alongside your PDFs again, redoing 20 through 31, free 120, then taking 32 before sitting. It's a bad idea. Just do Mehlman QBank. Mohammed, YouTube keeps hiding the notifications. Zaubi Medicine. Dr. Mike, how much time should one spend on QBank questions during the first run? Is 5 minutes per question before answering tough questions all right? Yeah, so a minute to answer the question and then up to 5 minutes to do the explanations. So 1 minute per answer choice, 6 minutes per question total. And then that's an hour for 10 questions. So 45 minutes to an hour for 10 questions. Medno, you did UWorld like I previously advised on YouTube, and you did 6 through 8 NBMEs. Barely touched a 240, did all the CMS. Can you please guide me on what to do? I'm doing your Anki now. Why don't you try Mehlman QBank? Medno. Farid Abbasov. Mike, why have you been less energetic in your YouTube clips lately? You used to communicate explanations more enthusiastically. If you want me to be more enthusiastic, then maybe that will come later in time. The thing is, 99% of the game is just consistency. It's doing the same dumb shit repeatedly. Like I'm answering the same dumb questions right now. So it's not about like enthusiasm is not something I seek with what I'm doing right now. If you're looking for fun and enthusiasm, don't be a content creator. And that's why 99% of people fail, is because they might make content for like, they're like, I'm a YouTuber now, and they'll make content for like a month. And then I'm like, watch this, they're going to stop. And then after like 4 weeks, 6 weeks, they stop because it stops being fun. So the YouTube clip I did today, didn't want to fucking do it. The one with the ECG, last fucking thing on the face of the earth I want to do. I would say 80% of the time I have like zero interest in doing that stuff. It's about doing what you don't want to do. That's 99% of the game. It's going to the gym when you don't want to. It's doing work when you don't want to. It's making dumb reels when you don't want to. Otherwise, don't grow. Jenny AV, hey Mike, I'm planning to take step 1 by November 1st. I've been using the Mehlmanmedical deck a little, but I haven't touched the QBank or NBME materials yet. How should I prepare? You haven't touched QBank or NBME. If you're doing Mehlmanmedical, obviously that's very good. You should be doing QBank though. You should be doing QBank. That's sort of mandatory because that's the language of the exam is blocks of questions. So we absolutely need you doing QBank. And you never would have guessed it. Okay. Mehlman QBank is what's going to get your score up the most in the shortest amount of time. So we recommend that one. But it's a very good decision that you're already on the Mehlmanmedical decks. Men, no, I do get scared of questions. I know you will say about the screening thing. When I see last line, it's always management, diagnosis, and reading the whole question. It takes up my time. I'll reiterate that time is only an issue for people who don't know stuff. So if you're strong on the content, then you can like glance at a question and know it pretty fast. So it's pretty rare that someone has like genuine ADHD to the level that they like truly need like double time on the exam or something. Most people just like, you got to just study more and learn more. But in terms of answering questions, yes, especially if the stems are long, glance at the answer choices first, glance at the last couple lines, and then glance all around the paragraph like it's a wordless collage looking for keywords, and then go back to the beginning and read it from there. I don't look at the age of the patient usually. I don't start reading from the beginning until minimum 5-7 seconds in, if it's long. AHMQUN, step 2 is supposed to be yesterday, delayed due to an issue with school. Last week, didn't study much, the momentum was gone. Before the dedicated, your score was 80 on NBME 10, so that's around a 250. Yesterday, 70. That's more like high 230s. On NBME 11, what to do. What about the other NBMEs? So make sure you finish 60-15 and free 120. That's got to be your focus until you sit. So when is your new test date? Aisha Taneja. I failed my cbsc twice. I went over 25 to 31 NBME. I finished 70% of URL and I am retaking it again in a month. Would you please advise me on what to do? I get anxious and pick the wrong answer. You failed your cbsc twice. You've done 70% of URL. If your exam is in a month and you've already done 25 through 31, we need you doing 20 through 24 and also 32 and free 120. However, we need to save some for after your CBSC prior to your step 1. If you were my student, what I would honestly have you be doing, because you're talking about CBSE, you have to sit, not step 1 in a month. I'd honestly just have you on Mehlman QBank and Anki. That's what I would be having you do. I'd have you 40 to 80 questions per day, Mehlman QBank, and I'd have you doing 4 hours of Mehlman Anki in the evenings. And if you're able to, I would titrate up. I'd say start with 40 questions, do 4 hours Anki. And then if you can, titrate up that number of questions to 60, 80. See if you can do more. I'm assuming since you failed twice CBSE, your knowledge base is weaker and you'd be doing more like 40 to 60 tops. That's what's going to get your score up the most. That's what's going to get your score up the most. So like the most potent combo is literally Mehlman QBank followed by Mehlman Anki in the same day. That's literally the most potent combo. It also happens to not be free, but Ferraris aren't free. Okay. Teslas aren't free, but it just happens to be what's like the best way to get your score up in the shortest amount of time. Muhammad, Akhtar. What's minimum time one should give before sitting the real exam, passing free 120? I would say minimum week and a half, because you should be doing free 120 after you finish 20 through 25 offline, prior to 26 through 32 online. So free 120 should be maybe like 2 weeks to 10 days out from your step one. Don't do it last. If you do it last, not a big deal, but don't get pulled into this myth, this grandmother myth stuff, that it's supposedly more accurate. It's not. I would say 32 is, since it's absolutely the newest, we should be doing that last. FOZ, scores are getting out of control. What's going to happen when 260 becomes the average? I think that will happen. That will happen. Like when I sat 2CK back in 2014, the average was around a 232. It was like 232 to 234 when I sat, and 260 was like high. Now 260 is like decent. Basically, when I sat, if you got a 260, it would probably be equivalent to getting like a 270 plus today. And now I feel like if someone gets like a 260, they're like not necessarily smart. Like there's people who can get like 260s and they're like not smart. And I'm like, what happened to this exam? I think it used to be like high ceiling. It used to be pretty high ceiling. Now it's like they rescaled it with like something with score inflation, internal scales, but they're letting people like, there's people who like aren't smart who are getting like higher scores. And like that never happened when I was sitting. That never happened. Gallhammer, is denosumab effective for treating giant cell tumor? Never heard of it for that use. It's just RA. Gallhammer. Let me see. I lost where I was. Try and find where I was. Okay. RAJVIR. What are your views on the current stature of India in the global healthcare perspective? Do you think the way in which India is portrayed to the world by Western media is justified? I'm not really like an expert on that topic. I don't really focus on like India in relation to like what the Western media says. That would be more like internally. If you live in India, which I'm assuming you do, then that would be something that like you're dealing with, how Western media portrays your country. But that's like never anything. And I follow the news. Like I watch different news channels sometimes. And that's never anything that's like front and center. Hasmitha, 63%, NBME 26. You have your exam September 25th. Can I improve? Yeah, because it's a fail, and I've said you want at least 3. This is the deal, okay? You need at least 3 NBMEs, 68 plus. So you did 26, Hasmitha. I'd want to know, did you do 20 through 25? Okay, if you have not, I would say this is what's going to happen. We will have you do 20, 21, 22, and you have to get above 65% on these. Okay, I've had other conversations about getting above a 60 on 2021, but I'm saying it's not cookie cutter. And in your case, I'd want to see above 65% on 20, 21, 22 right now. And if you cannot get above a 65 on all of those, then you're going to postpone. And you're going to postpone a month to the end of October. So if you don't want to postpone, if you're like, no, I don't want to postpone. Okay. then you have to pass the NBMEs, because if you're not passing, we're not going to have you sit. And 65 is the minimum. Like, that's still precarious. I still don't sign off on that. I'm just saying I want you doing 3 NBMEs to decide whether you're going to postpone or not. So let's say you do 3 NBMEs, you get 65 on all of them. I'd say we got to get 68s now. And if you're not going to get 68s, I'd have you postpone. But you're basically looking at end of October. Okay? If you're vehemently opposed to postponing, then my advice is just do well in the NBMEs and get high scores, and then it doesn't have to be an issue. Tony, good morning. If I'm doing the Mehlmanmedical, do I need to read the PDF too? The answer is no, but you can do both. So you can do, let's say, the Anki and then read the PDFs later for review, and you'll be faster on them. Crazy Russian name, I can't read it. How should I properly review an NBME exam? With each question, I open the related concepts in your PDFs, go over them, but it takes a lot of time. Is this the right approach? That is a decent approach, but going back and forth between the NBMEs and my PDFs, I would just do the NBMEs and just learn the best you can from the questions and not spend too much time. Like the PDFs, this is important, guys. This is why I've said you should do the Mehlman PDFs early in your prep. You're not supposed to like save them for last. Okay, so you should already be acquainted with the PDFs at this point, like while you're doing QBank earlier, and then they're not like new material for you right now while you're going through the NBMEs. Maximum 2 days per NBME. Okay, so you do the NBME on one day, all 4 blocks, like it's the real thing. You start the review, maybe you only review 2 blocks that day, and then the second day you can review the latter 2 blocks. Thank you, Chef Fukara. Caso B, if my basics are awful, how should I take before giving the exam? 6 months is enough, question mark. Step 1 or step 2? Caso B. Rashad, can I get away with not studying biochem for step 1? The answer is no, because the way it works 100% of the time is if you choose not to study something, that's going to be what shows up on your exam. It's how it always works. It's karma. It's how it always works. Okay, it's a lose-lose. If you study a lot of biochem now, it's not going to show up. Okay, it'll be a waste of time. If you do study it, it's not going to show up. Okay, if you do study it, it's not going to show up. If you don't study it, it will show up. Ayotunde, I'm finishing up Mehlman QBank already, so I'm assuming I shouldn't redo it. So yeah, what should you suggest I do for the remainder of the month if CBSC is October 11th? If you're finishing Mehlman QBank already, then, and I'm assuming it's CBSC, so step 1, then we can have you do 20 through 25 NBMEs. That's what we need you to do. And if your score is good on those NBMEs, then you got to move up your CBSC. If you're not allowed to move up your CBSC, then you can pump out the Mehlmanmedical. Those Mehlmanmedical are really, really good for getting those CBSC scores up. Really, really, really good. So I'd say mainly you're going to fill in the time with Mehlmanmedical. Rise and recharge. Should I do Ankiing? Should just started USMLE prep have no foundation? Rise and recharge. If you just started USMLE prep, then it should be Mehlman QBank that you start with. That's your first thing. Is it doable to study for step 1 during my clinical clerkships? That's not ideal situation. I've said that you don't want to do that. So people who have to deal with step 1 while they're on rotations, it's never a good situation because your study for the rotations, it conflicts and things just get pushed back. Very, very, very difficult and annoying trying to study for step 1 in clinical rotations. I never want a student to be in that position. Okay, but occasionally it happens. And what will usually occur is we have you study for step 2. And a lot of that stuff is like a Venn diagram where it just covers a lot of the step 1 stuff. But it's annoying. Siam, how to tackle biostats questions. It's so annoying. I mean, I've talked about biostats a lot. So Mehlman QBank is loaded with biostats, but also we've got a biostats PDF and we have a biostats course. I recommend our course on biostats on the site because we've got modules, we've got audios on that stuff, quizzes, a lot of biostats. Mehlman Biostats course is probably the best way to prepare for that right now, in addition to the biostats and Mehlman QBank. Indian medic, you work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday in your home country, clinical setting as an older grad. You just started step 1 prep, 3 months, end of 2025. Is 3 months a realistic goal for step 1? Yeah, you only need 3 months to study for step 1. I mean, in your case, because you're working full time, I mean, how much are you actually able to study when you're out of work? It's like you get out of work and then what? Do you go to the gym, you eat dinner, and then you have like no energy left? Like, what are you actually able to do? So you need to get through QBank. It'll take you like 2 months, probably because you're working full time. It'll take you 2 months to get through Mehlman QBank. And then you'll just do the NBMEs after that. So 3 months, probably. And we could occasionally, because you're not able to do all the NBMEs in a row at the end, because you don't have it dedicated, you're still working full time, we'd have to have you sit NBMEs on weekends, possibly earlier out. Olivia, just by your QBank, you stopped doing the NBMEs without time, as you advised me in the past office hours. Is there any way to edit the name of the exam in the QBank? No, they're just ID numbers. They're just ID numbers for your tests. You can't like change, you can't edit those names. Rise and recharge. Mehlman Anki versus Anking. I've said don't make your own Anki. That's a waste of time, if that's what you're referring to. Ansam, Khalil. When doing QBank, should I repeat the incorrect questions or just review them? We don't have to have you do incorrects unless your NBMEs are insufficient. So let's say you finish Mehlman QBank and then you get to the NBMEs and they're not where we want them to be. We would possibly have you go back and do incorrects, but you don't have to front load incorrects. Like your plan should never be that you're going to do QBank and then you're not going to touch the NBMEs. You're going to do all the incorrects before you go to the NBMEs. We don't have to do that. We can just use incorrects for remediation if your NBMEs aren't where they need to be. Syed, last week before exam routine for step 1 should be nothing but the NBMEs. You could look at high yield arrows. And then the day before your exam should be pretty chill. Marvin, is it possible to prepare for step 1 in 3 months? Yep, that's what I just said. Let me see. Abdullah, what's the best way to study use? Well, this is 2025, Abdullah. So first aid, we don't use anymore for step 1. I don't know who gave you that advice, but it's not good advice. That's old advice. So it's understandable because you've been exposed to a lot of people who they're just on autopilot and they don't know what they're doing anymore. But that's not how we prepare for step 1 in 2025. Okay. Mehlman PDFs are far better. Trimbakesh, best resource to learn quality safety material from. Mehlman QBank, we loaded questions in there on that. Otherwise, just don't worry about it because a lot of that stuff's common sense. Like wash your hands before seeing a patient, take out a catheter after you're done using it. Like a lot of that stuff's common sense. Okay, but we put those questions in QBank. Ahmad, how to not burn out, question mark. Anyone who wants 270 plus, studies 10 hours daily for a long period of time. Like I want to get into your mind, how do you tackle things, how to top tier people think. I answered that in this live stream already because someone asked, why am I less enthusiastic in my YouTube clips lately? He said in the past, I used to be more enthusiastic. And my response was, it's not about being entertaining. It's not about fun and being enthusiastic and feeling motivated all the time. If you want to score high, If you want efficacy, then the whole game is doing work consistently, regardless of how you feel. That's what it comes down to. It's being tired and doing it anyway. It's saying, I don't want to do this, and you do it anyway. That's the game. That's the game. It's the degree to which you execute on positive behaviors when you specifically do not want to do those things. That's it. Nav Kaur, 25 days left for my step 1 exam. Planning to do questions most of the time. Is it okay to do questions which are from your bullets from the PDS? Yeah, you can go through the bullets. They're crash review. I would still, the tables are mandatory from the PDS. 25 days for step 1. I mean, I would make sure you get through highlight arrows. Definitely do that one. Zero asks, hi Mike, is 270 plus with step 1 first time enough to get residency without research and US clinical experience? Yes, it is, but you still have to check the boxes if you want a competitive location. Don't expect to apply somewhere competitive and just expect to get in if you don't check the other boxes, because they will take people with lower scores who check the boxes. I've talked about how it's just scores, but I'm saying like you need to still check the boxes minimally. Okay? You need to check the boxes minimally. You need some sort of clinical experience. Research, not really, but you got to have like a rotation in the US. If you don't have that, then just don't be entitled. Okay? Apply broadly. And it depends where you're applying from. Okay? If you're applying from anywhere in Africa, you'll match easily anywhere. If you're from the Middle East or like India, China, you won't match as easily. Rise and recharge. You're asking about step 1 in 6 months. You've done no revision or anything. I've already answered your question. Okay, so the sequence is doing QBank first, then the NBME. So you don't need 6 months to study for step 1. It's way too long. 3 months. 3 months. Bahar Bokhtor, how can we prepare for USMLEs as starting medical school students so that when we take the exams, we can score well? You just need to do a lot of questions, and you need to get through the Mehlman PDFs. Like all of those Mehlman PDFs, make sure you read those for school. Make sure you read those really well. And do all the YouTube questions that we have here. Migs, have you ever been to Peru? No. I almost went to Lima, actually. I almost went to Lima New Year's Eve 2015 going on 2016, and then I came to Japan instead. It was between Lima, Peru, and Japan, and then I like checked flights to Osaka at the time because I was in Australia in med school, and the flights were like super fucking cheap to Osaka, Japan, so I just came here, and then it was like, I'm moving here. I knew instantly. I was like, done. I'm moving here. Ramsey, 2 weeks and we'll start doing NBMEs. You finished QBank. You're studying PDS. You feel like you forget what you study. 2 weeks and you start NBMEs. Okay. Well, just continue doing the PDFs in Mehlman Anki for 2 weeks and then start the NBMEs. Like, it's not really like, if you feel like you're forgetting what you're doing, there's no like magical hack right now that's going to like transform things for you. 2 weeks is like enough time to like do nothing. You can't really change strategy in 2 weeks. Like, we're not going to say do QBank for 2 weeks. It's like, what are we going to do? So like, Continue doing the PDFs. If you're doing Mehlmanmedical, continue with those hardcore. Get the 2 weeks over with, and then start your NBMEs, as you said you're going to do. Thank you, Gez. Barney, thank you for being a member. You stated that we should not use NBMEs if we are not passing. You took one in July. You did poorly in the 50s. If you've been making QBank plus Mehlmanmedical every day, do you recommend taking NBME to see my percentage now? I'd want to ask when you plan on sitting, step one. And you could sit in NBME, like 20 offline, you could. But I pretty much what we could have you do is sit 20 and 21 offline. And if you're getting like in the 50s, if you get like in the 50s on 20, I wouldn't even have you do 21. We would just have you do Mehlman QBank for an entire month. And then we're going to have you do the NBMEs and see how you do that. Indrashish Podar, 68.5, 71.5, your percentages on NBMEs. Should you schedule your step one for September? Yeah, yes. Those are good scores. So just do the rest of the NBMEs. Idrashish Podar. So do 20 through 24 first, then do free 120, then do 27 through 32 in that order. Daniel, good morning to you. Actually, it is good morning for me too, because it's almost 1 a.m. here in Japan. You just sat step one yesterday. Risk factors was easily 15% of the exam. No, it wasn't. 15%. Like, please. I mean, you could say anything is a risk factor. So the starting point of our conversation, Daniel, is like, what do you interpret as a risk factor? By risk factor questions, I think of like hypertension for stroke, diabetes for atherosclerosis, weight gain for diabetes and hypertension, stuff like that. Okay? Because you could basically take any pathology. You could say, this is a boy and he's at risk for G6P deficiency. Well, not really. So it depends on like what your interpretation of that means. I think that stuff's overblown. It's the new fad. It's the new hysteria. Like 2025 hysteria is like risk factors and the exam magically being so dramatically different from the NBME's nonsense. Migs, if I'm currently in my second pass, CMS would still be worth it to get your Anki deck. I'd want to know when you're sitting. I'd want to know when you plan to sit 2CK. Gavin, any advice for building endurance? 2 or 3 back-to-back CMS forms a day? 2, yes, 3, no. Never do 3 in a day. 2 is good. And review. You tend to drop from 80% to 70s by the end of the 4th NBME sections. Thanks. I talked about this like yesterday. I was saying you can't cake out on these final blocks. It's a screening mechanism. Okay, so people who cake out, you flame out on the final block. That's weeding you out of the medical profession because we can't have people who are not able to finish surgeries or not able to finish consults because they get tired. But in your case, don't do a third CMS form in a day. Okay, 2 is fine. 2 is fine, Gavin. USMLA Prep asks, hey, Mike, I do NBME 1 hour per block and I barely finish on time. Should I be worried? Because real deal is 1 hour longer stems. Time yourself for the NBMEs. Time yourself and just see how you go on that. Don't do the NBMEs like tutor mode fashion. Like do the NBMEs like legit. Alfonso, Mehlman QBank is the new gold standard. It'll make a difference if you are borderline. Thanks, Alfonso. You're a good guy, Alfonso. Let me see. If someone who averaged, Gaurav, if someone who averaged 75% NBMEs still fails, at what point do you think they might have gone wrong? No one who averages 75% NBMEs will fail. No. The only way that's possible is if you had an NBME that was a fail Or if those are like retakes, for instance, you say, oh, well, actually, I did all the NBMEs like a year ago. But I didn't, it's like there's always a catch. But if someone's legit averaging 75% on the NBMEs and they fail step one, it's not going to happen. That doesn't happen. No. No. Julio, what's going on? Good to see you again. Okay, so your step one's October 8th and you did NBMEs 20, so 65.5, 66.5, 67.5 yesterday. Reviewing corrects and incorrects. Should you look at it with my PDFs? It's fine. I don't really care how you review the NBMEs, just review them. I'm flattered if you want to look at them with my PDFs, right? If you want to cross-reference my PDFs, like I'm flattered. It's fine. Doesn't matter, just review them. But 67.5 is good. But we want 68 plus on your NBMEs to, really sign off on you sitting. MA, you came on here before. I was going to say, you're the doc in the UK. You'll be sitting step 2 before step 1. Not a good situation. I don't like that. What advice for step 1 prep, post step? Do step 1 before step 2, MA. You already purchased Mehlman QBank. Well, that was a very smart decision. Did you purchase step 2 QBank or step 1? I would prefer that you sit step 1 before step 2, truthfully. If you decided like you don't care, you're going to sit step 2 before step 1, just know that you'll score higher on 2CK if you do step 1 first. Because what's going to happen is you're going to take 2CK first and you'll get certain things wrong. And then you're going to see certain things in your step 1 exam. And you're going to be like, yeah, had I done step 1 first, I would have known these things ahead of time and then gotten those right on the 2CK. John, 68%, 71%, 72%. Next best step, period, to sit the exam ends in October. You can sit now. So what I want you to do, John, is do 20 through 23. Well, first I'd want to know when you sat 24, 29, 3120. I'd want to know when. If they were like a long time ago, I'd have you redo those first. If they were recent, you don't have to redo those. Just do 20 through 23, 25 through 28, and then do 30 through 32 in that order, and then just sit. And you could sit this month. As long as they're 68 plus, you can sit this month. Ayman Ali, did you make a playlist for step 1 genetics questions that you made? Because I find it hard to read them by myself. There's a genetics biochem playlist on the YouTube. John, does an 80% on NBME for step 1 translate into a better score for 2CK? The answer is yes. Or is it just an overshoot with a safe pass? Obviously, the scores correlate. The best prep for step 2 is a strong step 1 score. So if you're scoring an 80% NBME for step 1 consistently, then you're obviously in a position to score higher on 2CK. There's a correlation, yes. Osman, which PDFs are essential for step 1? High yield endocrine, high yield path, high yield arrows, and then all the subject PDFs. IC ARIS. Are there any prerequisites to understanding your PDFs, or can we start with them from scratch? You can start with them from scratch with Mehlman QBank. Because you're not a rando off the street. Like, you have an undergrad degree, so you should know like basic science. You understand? It's not like you're giving them to your mom. So like you can understand the basic amount. Like if you don't know what a cell is, if you don't know what a mitochondrion is, like there's a reason why people have to sit the MCAT before they go to med school. Julian Galea, does consistent 80% plus, and I think I already answered that. It's like spam botting. Same question, Julian. Gaurav, how important do you think is sleep? Very important. You seem to stay up until pretty late most nights. I stay up like all night, yeah. Would that be counterproductive to someone studying for steps? No, you just have to find out when you're most productive and then just do work. It doesn't matter when, you just have to like find that period that works for you and then work. So right now, I sleep usually between like 7:30 or 8 a.m. I go to sleep and then I wake up at like 2:30 p.m. And then I usually take like a 10-minute power nap at like anywhere between 10 p.m. to midnight. And then that allows me to stay up all night. What's your dream? I have various thoughts on that. In the house. Do you guys want to hear Mike's life story or do you want US Simile? MHSVD. Mike, why do you believe step 2 is way more difficult than step 1? It's not a belief, it's the truth. So step 2 vignettes are way more involved and longer than step 1 vignettes. Like, for example, a step 1 vignette for cardio might just tell you literally a one-liner. They might just say, holosystolic murmur, left sternal border that increases with inspiration. Do you guys know what murmur that is? If you don't know what murmur that is, you're not going to pass. So holosystolic murmur at the left sternal border. I'm not specifying high or low, just at the left sternal border, holosystolic murmur increases with inspiration. That's tricuspid regurg, okay? So right-sided murmurs increase with inspiration. So that's like a step 1 question. There's literally a one-liner on the cardio. I dropped it in the Telegram group like 10 days ago. Someone wanted to see it. A step 2 question might give you like a 12-line paragraph on COPD, and they might tell you that there's a holosystolic murmur that increases with inspiration. They like throw that into the vignette, and then the answer to that question would just be like cor pulmonale. And I'd say to the student, I'll be like, do you know what murmur that is? They'd be like, no. And I'll be like, that's tricuspid regurg. I'll be like, do you know why that's there? And they'd be like, no. And I'll be like, well, the highest yield cause of tricuspid regurg in US Simile is cor pulmonale / pulmonary hypertension. Backs up to the right heart and it stretches the tricuspid annulus, the right ventricular architectural changes. It's more involved. There's more detail. It's like the step 2 questions are way harder. TJ, if your average is 50s, so 56 to 58 on the NBMEs with a break, exam is end of September. Is it doable to pass? No. No. Postpone to end of October. You need to postpone to end of October, TJ. I would do Mehlman QBank all of September, and then I'd revisit the NBMEs in October. What resources do you recommend for ethics questions for step 2? We have a communication ethics PDF that's really good. You can do that. Okay, and there's also a lot of ethics communication questions in the 2CK QBank. BOKSH. Guys, we're going to end this soon because it's an hour. I started using your PDFs, YouTube vids 2 weeks ago. I just want to thank you. Thank you, Baksh. Beast mode. 90% completed QBank, doing Anki for the past year. Should you get any Mehlman products or keep doing the same? Plan to sit January 1st. It just depends on how poor you are. If you're poor, don't do our stuff. Just do our free stuff. If the cost of a sandwich isn't something that like plagues you, then it's a good idea to invest. Chris J, Mike, thoughts on diet in the final month of test prep, test day? Definitely. I would have less caffeine during the final 2 weeks to sort of resensitize yourself. You can have 100% cacao. That's what you can have. That's like a nice alternative. It's like mild. It's got a little bit of caffeine in there, but it's not a lot. You can have like 100% cacao with hot water. And then on test day, you're going to bring like diet energy drinks. That's what you can do. and you're going to have a little bit of caffeine after every block. Was it nonsense QBank stuff when we stopped treating bundle branch block like an MI? Also, what drugs are important for preserving the heart after heart failure compared to MI? Well, there's standard drugs that decrease mortality in heart failure. Okay, ACE inhibitors and ARBs, 4 beta blockers, metoprolol extended release, nebivolol, carbidiol, bisoprolol, spironolactone, hydralazine nitrates if black. Most of the time, bundle branch blocks are incidental and they reflect hypertrophy. So if they tell you left bundle branch block, that just means left ventricular hypertrophy. They tell you right bundle branch block, that means right ventricular hypertrophy. They throw that in incidentally, usually in questions. Mike, will you be adding more psych and biostats questions to your YouTube QBank? Psych, I don't really focus on because it's really boring for YouTube, but our QBank's loaded with psych. Biostats questions, we have a biostats course. We have a biostats course with questions in there. You guys don't want that stuff. You'll say like, do more biostats questions on YouTube. And then I'll do a biostats question and I'll see the analytics. Like the views will be like 1/3. Because like a lot of you guys will see that it's a biostats question and then you don't click into it. So let's not like pretend that you want to see biostats. Can't tell you how many friends I've put on Mehlman and they all bought the step 1 QBank Anki. Thank you, Evan. We're testing in December. Thank you, Evan. QBank Anki video, QBank enough. That's perfect. That's literally what you gotta do. That's right. Gaurav, why do you recommend against protein on test day? I believe ivermectin, heard you say that. Also a concern in caffeine is that it would encourage diuresis between blocks. Nah, if you're drinking liquid, I never understood that. Like, oh, caffeine's a mild diuretic. Like, not really. If you're drinking like cups of coffee, doesn't it make sense that cups of liquid would make you have to go to the bathroom? So protein though slows you down. You don't want to have like eggs. You don't want like a 4-egg omelet with like cheese and mushrooms and like sausage and bacon the morning of your step 1. That's not like what you want to do. That's going to sit heavy within you and it's going to slow you down. You want to be kind of like in an up and go mode. Like imagine eating for like, you're going to go run, right? Think of it as like you're going on a run. So you need to have energy in you, but like nothing too heavy, just kind of like carbohydrates for the most part, like simple and complex to keep you going and with caffeine. And then when you get out, then you can have like really good meal, all that stuff like Thai food, you know, spicy curry, whatever you want when you get out, but not the day before or during. Absolutely not. All right, so I'm going to read one more. One more. Beast mode, very broke. Do you think I can get the premium? We don't want you doing our products if you're poor, because people who are poor complain. Okay, the only people who give us headaches are people who are poor. So if you think about how much you pay for rent, if you're thinking about how much a sandwich costs, if you're thinking about your Wi-Fi or your phone plan, if those are thoughts that you have to consider, we don't want you going anywhere near us. Stay away. Just do our free PDFs. They're 11 out of 10. All right, Benjamin. All right, Benjamin.